10 historical facts that you don't know. 1. In 1859, the Taiping Rebellion occurred in China, leading to one of the largest civil wars in human history. The uprising turned into an all-out war with the treatment of resources and infrastructure as military objectives. The conflict was the largest in China since the Manchurian conquest. It is also the bloodiest civil war and one of the bloodiest wars in the history of mankind and the largest armed conflict of the 19th century. The uprising claimed about 20 million human lives. The Taiping were suppressed by the Qing army with the support of the British and French. 2. In 1932, the Great Depression occurred in the United States, leading to a profound economic downturn and mass unemployment. The Great Depression most severely affected the United States, Canada, Great Britain, Germany and France, but was felt in other countries as well. Industrial cities suffered the most, and construction practically stopped in a number of countries. Due to reduced demand, prices for agricultural products fell by 40 to 60%. 3. In 1956, there was an uprising in Hungary against Soviet influence, which was suppressed by the Warsaw Pact forces. The uprising had a pronounced national liberation character, and both Hungarian communists and non-communists of all social groups, from the peasantry and workers to the intelligentsia and the military, rose en masse to fight the administration appointed by the Soviet authorities. According to statistics, in connection with the uprising and fighting in the period from October 23 to December 31, 1956, 652 Hungarian rebels, 348 civilians were killed, and 226 people were injured. 4. In 1971, Bangladesh fought for independence from Pakistan, resulting in the deaths of millions of people. The conflict was caused by the rise of Bengali nationalist sentiments and the self-determination movement in East Pakistan. The war began after the start of the West Pakistani Operation Searchlight against the people of East Pakistan. Extensive military operations and airstrikes have taken place in rural and urban areas throughout East Pakistan in order to quell the wave of civil disobedience that has formed since the election situation. The Provisional Government of Bangladesh was formed on April 17, 1971 in Mujibnagar and moved to Calcutta, becoming the government in exile. Most of the United Nations member states recognized Bangladesh as a sovereign country in 1972. 5. In 1918, the Kronstadt Rebellion took place in Russia, a mass-armed uprising of sailors against the Bolsheviks. After the suppression of the uprising, repressions began, including against the population of the city. According to Viktor Kabalchik, they were carried out with the knowledge of Felix Dzerzhinsky. The first demonstrative execution of 13 defenders of the fortress was carried out on March 20, 1921 at 24 o'clock. A total of 103 people were sentenced to death and 459 people were sentenced to various terms of imprisonment. 6. In 1947, India gained independence from the British Empire, leading to the partition of the country into India and Pakistan and bloody ethnic clashes in which, according to official data, about 1 million people died, as well as mass migrations of the population about 18 million people, of which almost 4 million were not found in subsequent censuses. 7. In 1961, an armed rebellion occurred in Algeria, marking the beginning of the war for independence from France. The Algerian War was a complex military-political conflict characterized by guerrilla actions and anti-guerrilla operations, urban terrorism, and the use of torture and extrajudicial killings by both sides. It is one of the most important events in the history of France in the second half of the 20th century. Despite the actual military defeat of the Algerian rebels, for a number of political and economic reasons, the conflict ended with their victory, the recognition of Algeria's independence by France. 8. In 1945, after the end of World War II, the Indonesian National Revolution began against Dutch colonial rule. The 4-year struggle included irregular but bloody armed conflicts, internal political and social upheaval in Indonesia, as well as to major international diplomatic interventions. The Dutch armed forces and, for a time, the Allied forces of World War II could control large cities and industrial facilities in the central regions of the Republic in Java and Sumatra, but could not control the countryside. By 1949, international pressure on the Netherlands and a partial military stalemate led to the Netherlands recognizing Indonesia's independence. 9. In 1920, Afghanistan became a constitutional monarchy after many years of monarchical rule. The British Empire unleashed on May 3, 1919, the Third Anglo-Afghan War. However, the situation in the region did not develop in favor of the British, and the 50,000-strong Afghan army was not only able to stop the offensive of their troops 140,000 on Kabul, but also to launch a counter-offensive into British India. As a result, the British agreed to an armistice on June 3 and a preliminary peace on August 8. For the first time, the British Empire recognized the state sovereignty of the Afghan Emirate. 10. In 1968, Mexico witnessed the suppression of student protests at Tlatelolco Square, resulting in mass casualties and political repression. On October 2, 1968, at 5 p.m., at the Cultural Square in Tlatelolco, a district of Mexico City, almost 10,000 men, women and children stood waiting for the rally to begin. However, when the leaders of several student organizations and movements arrived, the police and military, sent by President Diaz Ordaz under the command of Luis Echeverria, decided to dissolve the meeting. The student claims that at about 6:10 a.m., the helicopter fired 3 flares over the square, which were soon followed by the first shots. The students were abducted, tortured and killed by the government. If you watch the video to the end, write in the comments the facts that you already knew. I will definitely read your comments. Subscribe to the channel, like it. Thanks for watching and bye.